Okay, and welcome back to my channel. This might be a bit shaky because I'm going to be pointing at random things and talking about things. So this is the infamous FD RX7 Type RS I was telling you about 6 months ago. As you can see, she's awesome. I absolutely love this car already, but we have good and bad. So let's start at the top. Let's start up here. We'll take you down a bit, and then we'll bring you up a bit, take you down a bit more, and then we'll bring you up and we'll leave you on a high note. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, first of all, nice things. So car. It finally arrived. As you know, there was issues in Japan. We couldn't get it started. I had Mazda take a look at it in Japan. Apparently they couldn't figure it out either, but I thought they had. I figured it out, but that's another story for another day. So it's had a new starter motor, new battery, and it's had a new ignition barrel, and I must say kudos to the people that did it, because bless them, they changed out, oh of course you can't see it, they changed out the ignition barrel, and now normally in these situations, especially on cars that have aged and definitely gone sideways, look at the e-brake there, look, tells you everything you need to know. So anyway, normally when they do these things and they change the ignition barrels out, you'll end up with two keys. You end up with a door key, you end up with an ignition key. Bless them, they actually put me brand spanking new locks the whole way around the car. I got brand spanking new locks, so I only have one key to do everything still, which is amazing. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy about that, you've got no idea. But anyway, so that's good thing, really good. The quality there was amazing, but the car still didn't start, and that brings us on to the issues with this car. Anyway, so rear bumper, Vanquish rear bumper, that is a UK made RX7 FD rear bumper. Très bizarre that it ended up in Japan and on my FD owned by another Brit, but there you go. The world is a very small place. So yeah, rear bumper, hate it, absolutely hate it. I'm already in the market for a new rear bumper, and I do want the OEM one. Moving on, I guess the wing. So here we have the GT3 or 2, I can't remember, the Ariamemia GT wing anyway, fully adjustable a million times over. And you know what, right? Rear wings, there is such a difference between good quality and everything else. Right, and it's the little things, it's the little tiny things, like the steel here is like ½ an inch, say steel is aluminum to be fair, but it's like the hardware, and then things like this, how it mounts, how it seals, like it comes with a full gasket kit and seals properly, it's not metal on metal, it doesn't wobble around, it's solid as a rock, just a phenomenally well built wing. Of course, this car came from the southern islands of Japan, so it was a lot hotter down there. Good news is no rust, but the bad news is that anything with clear coat on it fades. So this one has completely faded off the top, as you can see, but real easy fix. Oh my goodness, stupid easy fix. And I'll probably bring you a video on how to do that, because I've got other things that I need to do when I do this. So underneath there, that's what it's meant to look like, nice shiny glossy, and that's it all faded out. So the good news is that the clear coat is completely gone. So we don't have to remove any clear coat, we can just shoot this with a couple of coats of clear, and we should be good to go and make it all beautiful again. Anyway, solid as a rock, wonderful. 99 rear lights, of course. Moving on, so these are the wheels we were talking about. Staggered fitment, 17-inch work stitch 2-piece rim. So rare, like ridiculously rare wheels. I've only found, actually, to this set, I've only found one other set online that anybody's ever referenced like this. It is missing the center caps. The other set was missing the center caps. I'm not sure they were meant to come with it, but I did contact work in the US to see if there was anything they could do, and I'm still waiting on a phone call from them guys. But anyway, these are 17s. They're the wrong offset for what we're going to be doing in the final project build of this car, so it's not going to work anyway. I'm just literally wanting them to sell them. The wheels will be getting sold. As and when, we'll worry about that. There's other events that has to happen between then. So side skirts, really, really well installed side skirts. Normally you get a lot of gapping issues down here when they cut the fiberglass. Just really, really well done. Probably one of the best installed side skirts I've seen. This is a bit gnarly, mind you, the random screw through the bodywork, but that doesn't matter. I'll tell you why in a second. So here we go, REM wing mirrors, a little bit of tape in shipping. These used $1,600 a set wing mirrors got broken. So good old Staples tape for now will work, I guess, but I'll fix that. But these need to come off anyway, so as part of what we're going to be doing. Moving on, so there's the front wheel. So here we go. So we have some hood. Now then, this for sure, Mazda speed. There's a little bit of Mazda speed, a little bit of shine, a little bit of feed stuff going on here. Like, I actually can't label this hood. Now, it is a literally carbon fiber hood. It's carbon fiber the whole way through. A very, very expensive, well-made hood. And I cannot find anything online as to who made this hood. It's like a mishmash of maybe 2 or 3 different types of hoods. But wonderful engineering behind it. I really like it. You know, there's a phenomenal amount of heat builds up in that area back here. It's one of the reasons that FDs dies because of the heat in that area. Like, just from idling, you can barely put your hand in that back corner there because it is so nuclear hot. So having a vent up here makes sense, dissipate heat. Down here as well, dissipating heat down here. And then here, my god, this makes so much sense. So this is like the Evo. We talked about the Evo that had the scoop in here, and then the carbon fiber blitz intake that would actually section that off, and it used the ram air effect going over the hood down in and fed cold air directly to the blitz intake. Well, this is exactly what this is doing. So normally you find that you get aftermarket lens covers, and they've got that exact scoop in there, and it feeds the air that direction, which is wonderful. It's great. I mean, the more air you can get under in that general area, the better, especially nice cold air. But that positioning is spot on. It is absolutely spot on, because that's exactly where the intakes are back here. So with the stock system, you've got this convoluted ducting system that runs in here. It feeds the stock intercooler wonderfully. Really good system, and it's the reason I kept it on my last one and modified it to fit the new stock mount intercooler. So you've got this wonderful ducting system comes in here and feeds the stock intake system. So when you put an aftermarket system in, you can actually have a negative effect, especially on high heat engines where you suffer with something called heat soak. The idea is you want to get as much cold air in there as possible, hence the reason for cold air intakes. And K&N have got a system now called the Apollo, which is a closed air intake system, which uses, like motorsport, you get a little ring that goes in the front of your bumper, and it rams air in through a tube, and then your intake is encased, and it stops heat soak, and it gives you this ram air effect going right in through, and it guarantees you a cold air supply. So these pod filters that they put in here like this generally are actually not really doing very much apart from giving you a bit of induction noise. But in this case, that is a wonderful addition. I really, really like that. But this comes back to the carbon fiber I was telling you about, where it delaminates. So you see here, we've got the clear coat here and here, and then we're back to the actual acrylic and the carbon fiber composite material down here. So there is a process for removing this. It is tedious as all hell and delicate. You have to use a single edge blade. I don't like sanding. A single edge blade, you can just take your time, you can gently scrape it off. I did have a Mazda speed hood, which was basically just this, on my first FD, and this did exactly the same thing. And it took me about a week of scraping, reshot it with clear, and the hood looked like literally brand spanking new when I was done. It was amazing. So we will do the same again. This hood, though, will not be staying. It will be coming off the car because it's not going to fit the theme of what we're doing. But I think I might have got a buyer for that already, so we shall see. But yeah, that's going to be a process. I'm going to do that and the wing at the same time. So now we're going to start talking about other things on the car. So you can see here, look, jerry rig duct tape mounted front bumper. We've got some wonderful gapping issues there with alignment from the front bumper and the hood. I want to point out, first of all, look at the hood. The alignment here is actually spot on. It's actually pretty good. I need to point that out because what happened was, in shipping, the shipping company destroyed this car. Right now, as it stands, I can't really do anything. We're in the final stages of deciding what's going to happen. So when they were getting it on the ramp, they couldn't get it started, I subsequently found out. It was still not fixed in Japan, and they towed it on the ship by a rope. Now, when they took it up the ramp of the ship, unfortunately, they caught this and completely smashed it on the ramp as it went up the hill. They actually caught it and it went under itself. It bent the slam panel to a certain extent, but the problem is the impact it has. Now, these panels are extremely thin, they're very lightweight, and they're very easy to manipulate. So watch what happens when you push the front bumper down. See the metal flexing? You see the tabs? Them tabs are meant to be flush, and they're a pain in the ass to get nuts on. Done it before. So what happened is they did this, and they rolled this right under, and it's completely folded the fender under, it's cracked it, nothing lines up anymore. This side's actually worse, as you can see, completely bent under, bowing out, it's destroyed. So that fender's toast, the front bumper's toast. But that isn't actually the bad bit. This is all cosmetic, guys. We can get fenders, we can get bumpers, sort of. They're a pain in the ass to get. Of course, Mazda doesn't have them anymore. You don't want to put like aftermarket cheap ones on there. Yeah, it's a bit of a wait for that. So here is the issue. Let's introduce you. Now it's going to get shaky, guys. I'm going to apologise in advance. Okay. So here is the issue that we have. So this bracket down here. So that's your latch system. That's your mount for your intercooler and your ducting. That's your relay pack. You've got cables, air conditioning. So this is your slam panel. And what this is designed to do is that when you get an impact forward, this is designed to absorb a lot of the energy and send it through the frame of your car, hence calling it a slam panel. And it's part of the structural integrity and safety of the vehicle. So what Joe, I don't know, John, what do they call him now? John Doe, I guess, whatever, did, they tied the rope onto here, they towed the car on, and they completely bent and folded. Although this doesn't really do it justice, they completely bent and folded the slam panel forward, which is the frame of the vehicle, and warped it. And that is, that's the big one, guys. That's what's causing the insurance company right now to be holding me off doing anything to this car right now whilst they decide what's going to happen with it. We've got 3 or 4 estimates now, myself included, to do the work. I was actually the cheapest of all the quotes that they actually had. There's a company in Britain that machines these up, and what it actually is, it's a whole new box section that goes in here. It's almost like a quick release box section for racing, and it has brackets underneath that support a V-mount intercooler system right into it. Trying to get this is impossible. Literally, I tried and tried and tried. You can't. So then I was thinking, well, maybe I could fabricate something in the shop, which I'm sure I could. Would it be as good? Probably not. Something machined with exact measurements would be definitely way better. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get it from Britain and get this machined section. I'm not going to run a V-mount right yet. But at least then I get my structural integrity back to the whole front end of the car, and we can get it straight, because they'll have set this up on a jig and everything else. So at least I know then the car's straight, you know, well, to a point. So anyway, let's talk about engine, because we're here, we're talking about engine. So bring myself up, guys, hold on, bear with me. Okay, so engine, here we go. What have we got? Oh my goodness. So pretty stock. Stock intercooler, stock piping. Big thing here, do you remember in my previous video we talked about the upper sway bar? This here On the Type RS and the Type RZ, they were black and didn't have a plaque in the middle. That's one way you can tell the version. We have our Magic grounding kit, which is freaking hilarious. They've actually, I don't know who did this in Japan, but I'm guessing this was more a cosmetic thing because they actually grounded it to the factory elbow, which is plastic. Good on them. So we've got some grounded plastic in there. By the way, guys, plastic does not ground. So there's 100 other points they could have picked up actually on the throttle body there, as opposed to the plastic case of the elbow, the factory elbow, but whatever. Anyway, good points to pick up are down here. Back there's actually two sensors. There's your thermal switch and your actual fan switch as well. So you've got your thermostat and your fan switch mounted into the water pump just in the back. It is an absolute son of a goat to actually get to, especially if you have to get to the fan switch, which is the one in the bottom. And the connector and the actual thermostat sticks out so much from the actual sensor that you can barely get on it without damaging the both of them. So it's easier to take the top one out than to get to the bottom one. Trust me, been there, done that, and that is a whole different snag. If you have problems with your FD cutting out, just randomly cutting out and then shooting 12-foot yellow balls of flame out of the exhaust, hit me up on the email, send me a message. I can tell you exactly what it is, and it does have something to do with these, and it has something to do with these, and it has something to do with these guys. And 2 weeks of going through electrical wiring diagrams, I've figured it out, guys. So if you have balls of flame 12 feet long coming out your exhaust and the car won't start or randomly shuts off, I got you covered. So, upgrades, trust, intakes, aren't these wonderful? Never seen these before, they're brand new, I think. But anyway, these are Grady Trust upgraded intake system. And as you can see, it picks up factory mounting points. Of course, I can't show you. Down there, look, there's a little bracket down here, look. Just really well made, really well engineered. Picks up all the factory air breathers, so you've got your air pump there, look. This is your air pump, so this pumps warm air down through your cat to get it warmed up. So you get good ECU readings pre-warming your cat. Down there is your turbos. So this is a 99, so it has high flow turbos, high flow Y pipe, and a few other things. Them turbos are not stock at all. There's nothing stock about them turbos at all. I have no idea until I get the car in the air and actually like have a look at what's going on in there. I've got a sneaking suspicion based on what I'm actually hearing and my experience. I think that they probably are upgraded stock ones. If anything, I would say they've probably got ceramic bearings in there, or at least they've gone away from journal bearings. The spool down and the spool up on them has a very unique sound, which is normally associated with upgraded bearings on turbos as opposed to like stock turbos that wind down quite quietly. These ones have a very sort of almost jet engine wind down to them, and they do take a while to wind down and have a very distinctive whistle to them. So there's definitely something going on with the turbos there. I don't know. We'll find out eventually, I guess. So we mentioned previously that the Type RS does come with some upgrade stock, boost and things like that, and diffs and transmissions and things, and sway bars. This one should have come with Bilstein upgraded suspension from stock. As it actually happens, I got a bonus. These are Aragusta coilovers that are in this thing. The retail on them is about $4,300 US a set. Fantastic coilovers, really, really good coilover. Spring ratings and loads, I have no idea. I know that the car was bouncy as hell, but after going through all the settings on the damping, every single one of them was set to something different, so I'm guessing they just threw them in there for cosmetic things as opposed to actual functionality. Or somebody was playing with the ratchet on them, going click, 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 I don't know. But anyway, that's going to take some time to set that up, especially in Nova Scotia where you're dodging potholes every 2 feet. So, anyway, engine, yeah, she runs awesome. She runs amazing, no smoke whatsoever. Really, really pulls like a demon. Very, very, very good engine. Bit up on mileage, like 114,000 kilometers. I couldn't tell you if it's been rebuilt or not. I've got no idea, but we'll put a compression tester on it at some point and get some readings on it and see what she's doing. But that's for down the road. Right now I've got bigger problems to deal with, as you can see. So the state of play is we're waiting for the insurance company, guys, to see what's going on. I don't really want to start touching anything. I've had this car now for the best part of a month whilst we're trying to figure out what's going on. So I do apologise about the lack of videos that I brought you. I know it's been pretty dead. Part of me actually didn't even want to bring you this car in this state right now because of the build-up that we've had to get in this car here. So I do apologise about that in advance. So anyway, moving on, I suppose we'll talk about the interior now then. Okay, so this is great. It's what a lead-in this is. So as we mentioned, we couldn't get the car to start. So I was at the port picking the car up. Quite disheartened because of all this, of course. The doc had put the tape on it. So I was quite disheartened at this point, and went to start the car. It wouldn't start. We came out, we gave it a boost, still wouldn't start with batteries connected to it. So then we noticed that down here there was an aftermarket alarm on it, and I did not get the remote. So the logic was that the aftermarket alarm is obviously disabling the ignition system, which for somebody who installs these things absolutely makes sense that would do that, because part of doing this is multi-point, if you're doing it right, multi-point ignition immobilization. So we actually make it so that people can't hotwire your car. So anyway, that made sense. So what I actually did was, right there, of course it was raining, guaranteed it was raining, it's going to be wet. What I actually did was, right there at the dock, in the pouring down rain, I actually removed the aftermarket alarm sat in the wet, and completely gutted it. I had to take all the trim off everything, rewire it there on the dock with limited tooling, and I did eventually put it back. I disconnected all the we've got some Grady gauges, and we've got a turbo timer down there built into the glove box. So yeah, so I actually put it back to stock. Got the guys back out to give me a boost, connected it up, and guess what? The car still would not start. Nothing at all, completely dead, even with it back to standard. And by this point now it's 3:50 in the afternoon. I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning at the dock. So anyway, I started doing my electrical fault finding process, trying to figure out what was going on. And I want to point out, I think this car has had the sleek headlights at some point. They were also worth a lot of money used. You know, they're about $1,200 US for a set of REM sleek headlights. So what led me to believe that is two things. First of all, you notice that we have a lack of bolt here and here. We do have one in. Now this is what bolts these headlight assemblies, the whole assembly, to the actual vehicle. There's only one bolt in each of them at that point. So clearly they've come out for something. So that leads me to believe that. And now the other reason is that this here is your fuse bank, pretty much for ignition and fuel pump and stuff like that. Fuse B2 is a very, very popular fuse to play with in the FD world. If your Rotary suffers with flooding, that is one of the fuses that you will pull to deflood your engine as part of the deflood process. So what I did was I came in here thinking, well, maybe a fuse has popped, right? So I disconnected this, took this off, looked inside here, and out of the 5 fuses that were in there, there was actually only 2, well, there was 3 in there, and both the EGI and the B2 fuse were missing. The only thing I had was the headlight retract and the main. So what I did was I took the one out of the headlights, put it in B2, and then we got the guy out to give me a boost again, and guess what? Boom, fired up first time, not a problem whatsoever. So, Mazda had the car for 2 months. Believe it or not, 2 months. We've got a new battery, we've got a new starter motor, we've got all new locks all around, and the whole time it was because somebody was missing 2 fuses. You kind of think that Mazda would have picked up on that, as that's generally considered the first thing you check when an electrical system isn't working. You go to the fuses or circuit breakers. So yeah, I got it going, and that was the story there. So anyway, like I said, she runs good now. We put some new fuses in and everything's fine there. No problems with the motor. So interior wise, alright, and there you go, there's the old Japanese JDM flare. So this seat is a Recaro SR3. Believe me guys, it did not look like that when I bought this car. It did have some fading, it did have a couple of cuts, it had some wear there from the seatbelt, had some wear there, but there was nothing going on down there. Speaking to a few people, we actually think that that seat might have been swapped out by somebody. Just because it's impossible, that's not torn, that's wear. So we think that might have actually been torn by somebody. So new seat, seeing as it's just as cheap to get a new seat as it is to get it recovered. That's going to be a new seat. But anyway, interior wise, I've got everything to put it back to standard, apart from the seat, so we'll do that, we'll make it pretty again. And everything's down here. I was quite worried because I knew that the glove box was hanging, but the good news is that we can put that back together again. So you can see here, look, this is the right here, that is the stock ECU down there. Now there's a reason that cover is off, and it's not because of what I was doing for electrical fault finding. So there's one of the harnesses I pulled out, that's for the gauges, but there's a reason that that's exposed right now, because I wanted to check these screws, the mounting screws. When I drove this, as I mentioned before, the turbos that are in this car are definitely not stock. The lights have been modified, the car has been used for drifting, no doubt. There's no other reason why you would have that one seat like that and the quick release for the e-brake, other than to go sideways. Whether it was amateur, whatever, I don't know. So when you get in this car and you turn it on, the fuel pump is located in the trunk right about here. And I was going in the trunk for something, I can't remember what it was, and the cover was actually off the top of the tank cover. And I didn't think anything of it, I just left it as it was, drove the car. So I turned the ignition on and driving the car, and whatever fuel pump is in there is ridiculous, it's redonkulous. It is so loud, and you can hear it going boot, boot, like it's priming, and it's pumping so hard, it is loud enough that above the engine you can actually hear the fuel pump running. So clearly it's got an aftermarket fuel pump in there of some kind. So when you upgrade the fueling on most cars, you can't just go and upgrade certain things like turbos, fuel pumps, without having some kind of control over that. So my as soon as I saw that and I heard it, I didn't even drive the car, I stopped, turned around, got out and took that plastic off, because in my mind's eye, the first thing I was thinking, well, they must have got an aftermarket ECU in this thing. Now that is the stock ECU, but then the reason I talked about them screws is because I actually then wanted to check the screws for chewing, to see if they'd actually been unscrewed, removed, and there had at some point been an aftermarket ECU in this thing. I'm almost certain there must have been, but the screws are in very good condition. On face value, I would say that that has not been removed. But just based on the modifications I'm seeing with this car, I can't see how realistically, as a drivable car, that you could not have an aftermarket ECU in this. The clamps that they've used, just the orientation of everything, something just doesn't sit right with me. Like, it just doesn't. There's more to this car than it has a history. It definitely has a history, this car. What that history is, I don't know. But I think this car had a lot more in it than what I've got. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to use this. I've brought you right down, haven't I? So let's talk about what we're going to do. Yay! Let's make this cheery again. So what are we going to do? My goodness, where do I begin? All right, so we're going to change out the fenders. We're going to change out the hood. We're going to change the front bumper. We're going to make it beautiful. We're going to wrap her. We're keeping the wing. Like I said, we're changing the hood again. That's going to be the REM ADGT carbon fiber hood. We're going with aftermarket REM fenders. Replacement front bumper, because I actually don't know who that front bumper is. I could have sworn it was the Sea West front bumper, but it is ever so slightly different, and I cannot find what that front bumper is now. I've been told it might be a Shine one as well, potentially. I don't know, but you can't find it. For the insurance company, I spent literally days and days and days trying to research the front bumpers and find out what that is. And Sea West was the absolute closest I could get to it. Anyway, so I'm going to put another fiberglass bumper on that one. I knew about the bumper, had some issues in Japan with fitment. Cracking, I can't say, so I didn't claim for that, because I can't confirm whether it was the shipping line or if it was like that before, whereas everything else I have pictures before and after. This I can't confirm. So we're going to put a stock bumper on. I'm going to put underneath there the REM rear diffuser with the Bowflex vortex generators at the sides and underneath. We're putting, of course, the REM exhaust on here, the Dolphin tip that I've got sat at home on my shelf, because this exhaust, when they tried to get it up the ramp backwards, I think they tried to drag it backwards. Do you see this teeth mark here? There's a pattern. You can barely see it. There's a pattern there. And I bet you that's the dimple teeth in the actual ramp for grip, because obviously they're on the sea and it's wet. They don't want it slippy metal, so they've got like teeth on it. I bet you if you were to line that up with the teeth in the actual ramp of the ship, it would match. And it's folded down. So if it was something that you had done bottoming out on something, it would fold flat and in, and it would be along the straight edge. You see that a lot from these things bottoming out, but this is actually rolled under it, which means it was coming backwards and caught. And it has to be something at an angle because it's so high from the ground. So that folded it under, but when they actually did that, they've actually snapped the actual tip right off the actual exhaust. So my HKS high power now flaps around like crazy. So we're going to put the REM one on there at some point, but that's, you know, another $800. They broke the rear light here, but seeing as that's some kind of like Alteza IS horrific looking light, aftermarket, I'm just going to put the stock one back in, which is all black, and it'll blend in nice with the 99 lights. Anyway, so we'll get that changed out and make that pretty. And yeah, so big changes, as you can see. We are in a new location with some very useful tooling. This is my shop. So this will be the first time you've seen this, although later on when it actually comes to doing a lot of the build work, I can't tie up the bay. So this will be getting built back at my garage at home where you used to. But yeah, colour-wise, I can't decide. Part of me says do it bright yellow, wrap it bright yellow. Part of me says I want to do it baby blue like the RE Super G time attack car, world time attack car. Then another part of me says I want to do something really out there and really different that nobody else has done, and I just can't make up my mind. I think it's going to be one of them scenarios where when I get it all done, we've got the new wheels on it and everything else, like I think that's when we'll decide what we're going to do. But I guess the good news for you guys is we have a shed load of stuff we're going to bring you on this car, like absolutely loads and loads and loads. We'll do an exhaust change, we'll do the body kit, we'll do a lot of cleaning up of carbon fiber, We're going to do some different things. We'll get into tuning as well, hopefully. I'm looking into that right now. One of the other things that we're going to be doing is this car is going to be used as my shop R&D car. So I'm actually planning on designing my own V-mount system. So what I want to do is, the overall goal is to create an unintrusive V-mount system, a high efficiency V-mount system for the car that doesn't require you to delete things, move things, and all this other stuff, but still give you the same airflow and gains as the V-mount. So I'm going to be doing that sort of in between all this stuff. Like I said, I'm also going to be going single turbo, so I've got different turbo options that I'm looking at right now to do a single turbo conversion. So we'll see. All this stuff is in the works. I want to start selling single turbo kits, bolt on, and again we'll see where that goes as well from here. It's all R&D, guys, so it's all time consuming and picking at it in between everything else, between other FDs and things like that. I've got, my goodness, what have I got coming? I've got RX8s coming in, RX7s coming in. I've got some really interesting builds coming up this year over the winter. I've got one customer who is pretty much hell-bent. We're going to do a 26B 4-rotor build into his RX8 NA. That'll be a really interesting build if we do go ahead. Definitely bring you guys some interesting stuff from that. And then, of course, there's my build, my full Bridgeport engine that I'm building right now. So the state of play is, guys, I just moved into this location here. All the money I had for doing all the really fancy stuff has been blown in ramps and cars and tools and setting up and everything else, guys. So the money for the build for the Rotary, unfortunately, is going to go on hold. I don't have the cash to buy the kit I want to buy. We're going to be using a Atkins/Pineapple build kit on that. So we're going to be using the Pineapple hardened coolant seals, and then we're just going to use the Atkins rebuild kit for 99% of everything else. So Pineapple probably are going to be supplying me the templates for the porting. I've already got the tooling. So go back here. I've already started buying little bits for the build. So always good to have a stand and things like, you know, 54mm sockets. I mean, geez, man, that is a huge socket. But that is the flywheel socket, very much required. So yeah, we'll get there, guys. It's going to be a process. But bear with me, we'll have lots and lots of stuff coming your way over the next few months. But right now, all we can do is just wait for the insurance company. I've been told that this week they're going to have a decision for me on what's happening. And then we can go from there. As soon as they say, yeah, we're cutting you a check, I will get all this stuff on order, and it's going to be like Christmas 1,000 times over. And we'll actually get to building the car and bringing you all the videos that goes along with it. Anyway, guys, as always, thank you very much for your comments, likes, subscriptions. I love this is my world. Is cars, especially the JDM stuff, and has been for many years. And I love bringing you guys this, especially the new guys that are coming into this, or the people who don't know a lot about this stuff. I am more than happy to share my experience and help you guys out anytime. Please feel free to comment, and I do literally answer everybody, apart from the haters, and of course you always get them. There's always the trolls out there, but everybody else, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And I will see you hopefully very soon. I will keep you updated. Once I hear from the insurance company, I'll keep you updated, and we'll be able to go from there. As it happens right now, I do have the company ready and poised to build all this stuff, just waiting for the go-ahead. So as soon as it does, it's about a month and a half to get it here from the Far East. So when it does, we'll do an unveiling. But I'll talk to you later, guys. Thank you very much for your time and watching my videos. And I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye now.